Hello, everyone. Today we had a meeting and we got to decide a bunch of things on the art pipeline about environmental art, main character, and enemies, and every character that is in the game. So, one major thing that's going to be driving the art style is that the essence in our game is going to be used by the main character and by the enemies to attack. It's their form of attack and their form of defense. So, for example, the Slash, the character that is a melee tier 1 melee enemy, he can have a sword, right? But the way that he's going to attack is by funneling his own essence that is on his body to that sword, and that sword's gonna shine. So the player is gonna very easily see what is the characteristic of that enemy. With the wasp, the annoying wasp, we can have that energy being folded and create new wings on her. So you will know, you'll see, oh my god, this character just popped new wings, so it means that's gonna be very fast. So that's one decision that we took for the characters. Uh, and what does that mean for the art style? And with that in mind, and even before that, actually, we decided the art style of the game because before it was kind of confusing. Like, is this sci-fi? Is this cyberpunk? Is this fantasy sci-fi? Is this gothic sci-fi? So the art style that we're going for is fantasy sci-fi. What does that mean? It means that things are a little bit magical but very technologic advanced. So our characters, they can absorb essence, right? But in order to absorb a lot of essence, they need cybernetic augmentations, right? So the more essence that you have, the more cybernetic augmentations you will need. So on early game, this is something that we are changing, right? Before, early characters would be very machine like, and later on they would be more human like. But the way that we're gonna do this now is the weaker you are means you have lower essence, and it means that you don't need that much cybernetic augmentations. Okay, so our high level enemies, they will have a lot of cybernetic augmentation. We went that road because we think that's going to be much easier for the player to understand who is more dangerous and what part of the character is dangerous, right? So if we have a character that has, a massive sword, like, oh my god, and it glows blue, is like, okay, that guy's gonna attack me with that sword. And if it's a high level dude, maybe he moves fast and he also has huge wings that shine when he moves. So it's going to be much easier for the player to uh, analyze and see at a glimpse what are the characteristics of their enemies. Another thing about the enemies is like what kind of augmentations do they have? So they have augmentations that they are trying to look like angels. They are trying to create this fake heaven, right? But those augmentations, they look good and they are pretty like angels should be, but there's always something weird about it, right? They shouldn't be like feathers, like angel feathers, right? They should be different. They should be in a way that it's like it's trying to be an angel but it's not really an angel, but at the same time is really cool and awesome, right? So we want to sell that they are very powerful fake angels. That's what they are. So lower ones are like not as powerful, right? And but they are fake angels, right? They are trying to be like Eve's angel army, and Eve's wants to build her angel army, but they're all fake in this fake heaven. That essence, focusing your essence on parts of her body, also applies to our main character, right? So his weapons are gonna be fully essence, right? But it's a different type of essence. Is like an essence given by Lucifer. So it's probably gonna be red. We're still so Tom is working on a larger mood board to and he's gonna write up all that we talked today, and you're gonna see all that. But what it means for us is that our character is gonna have a default sword, right? But if he's gonna use an ability, that sword's gonna quickly shift into a spear that he can throw or a hammer that he can slam in the ground that does some AoE damage. Okay, so that gives a lot of freedom on the abilities and how we want the game to be. Still talking a little bit about the main character. So the way that we're gonna introduce him. So he's gonna die at the beginning of the game, probably a cinematic, not sure by now. But what happens is that Lucifer goes in and gets his soul, right? And Lucifer lives in the hell of that fake heaven, right? So the fake heaven is the industry where Eve rules, and Lucifer is hidden in the sewers of that industry. And what's in those sewers? There's a lot of bodies that Eve just gets the soul and just dumps the bodies in the sewers, right? So Lucifer has like a lot of bodies. There's a bunch of Adams and Eves, like the A's and the E's of our story. So he gets that's like he gets your soul and he puts it, the main character's soul, and he puts it in one of the bodies that are lying there, right? And he adds his own like touch to it, right? So Lucifer is the last angel, so he's the only one that can get a lot of essence without needing cybernetic augmentations. So he is pure angel, right? He has no cybernetic augmentations. And Eve also is probably gonna be very human like. Okay, so Eve puts that cybernetic Lucifer gets your soul and put it in a body, and it becomes a little bit demonic, right? So the main character is gonna change from not just being a simple Adam to being something more demonic, more brutal, right? So now talking about the environment. So in the beginning, the environment is you should feel like when you enter the Vatican, right? So you enter this beautiful church-like place, kind of industry, and everything is like has a lot of gold, and but you feel that feeling that is like, oh my god, like what is the cost of all of this, right? This it's so expensive and pretty, but like a lot of blood must have been spilled for all of this to be built. That's the feeling that we want to get. Okay, it's eerie. There's something wrong about it. Okay, on the lower floors, we got marble and gold and pillars and all of that, but stuff is a little bit cracked because it's not as close as Eve. Eve doesn't see a lot of that, right? So there's stuff that are broken, like, but everything is physical. Like there's no energy being used on. There's no essence being used to fix the environment on the first level. But as you progress through the levels, you can see more and more essence being applied to the environment. So the essence being applied to the environment means that Eve is investing essence and power to fix the environment, right? So in the beginning you can see a cracked floor, right? And it just cracked, right? It's ugly. But later on you can see the same cracked floor, but now it has a layer of essence on top of it that fixes the crack, right? So you can see that she's investing essence on that. So it costs for her, right? And it adds to the idea that as you go up and up closer to Eve, it's more like this utopic thing, like like it's so expensive using that for environment, but she uses it because it's her daily life. She wants to be surrounded. We want to sell the idea that like she's kind of megalomaniac and she has so much essence and she just lost it, and she's just like a absolutist, like a tyrant, like a king, that has like all the best shit, but the poor people living like have no food, right? That's the idea that we want to sell by doing this. Maybe that like hasn't been very discussed, but maybe in the end we can have full assets that are just essence, right? Like a full pillar that is just essence, some stuff like that, to really sell the idea that uh, it's very expensive, the last floors, and we can add more and more gold and more like precious stones or whatever. So it gets more. It gets like from not as rich to like very very rich the closer you get to Eve.